Welcome, welcome, welcome. The daily grind is back. What's going on, Luke?
Not much, brother. Just here. I'm not sick anymore. I was sick over the weekend. Glad to not be sick anymore.
Yeah, I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving
Yeah.
over the week. I know I did. Took the time off, spent it with the family, spent it with the kids. They had a lot of fun.
I was going to ask
Uh,
your kids have a good time. Y'all have fun.
they had a lot of fun. But
Yeah.
after 12 days out of school or 12 days at home with me, it's always like, I think it's time to go back to school.
Yeah, I think
Uh,
I'm good.
Yeah, unfortunately, two of the three got sick last night, and so they're still at
Oh
home.
no. Oh,
Um, so all good though. But I think overall they had a good Thanksgiving break. We had fun. Got the
hell yeah.
Christmas tree up.
Nice.
Uh, got the Christmas decorations up. So yeah. It was all good, man.
Did you guys watch any Christmas movies or Thanksgiving movies?
Well, no Thanksgiving movies. Only Christmas movies in this house. We
Oh,
typically start Christmas on November 1st. We're that family. And I always get a lot of shit about it. But to my point, I always say when Mariah Carey makes a song about Thanksgiving, that's when I'll celebrate it properly. And
s-
until that time, I've got Christmas songs on November 1st. So
see, I'm a big planes, trains, and automobiles fan, and that's like a Thanksgiving movie to me. And so I watch that all
yeah.
November. It's like my November thing.
My wife really likes what's the movie they play on TNT?
Christmas
Christmas
story.
Story. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's an absolute trash movie. I hate it. But she loves it. She really enjoys it. It is a terrible, terrible movie. But hey, if you enjoy it, enjoy liking shitty movies, that's fine with me. I
more
don't
more
care.
power to you.
Yeah, that's up to you. It's your choice. You're wrong, but it's also your choice. So
Up to you.
all good. Let's get to the rundown today. The Grizzlies spent a whole week last week. Lots of games. Not a lot of wins. Actually, 0 wins. To be exact.
Zero.
0 wins. I thought we'd have at least one of those. I think we did our little count up a couple weeks ago that we counted up maybe 1 or 2 wins in that stretch. And a lot of the games started off strong. In that first and sometimes even second quarter, got to halftime in some of those games, and then just completely fell apart
Dude.
after the break, or in last night's matchup, completely fell apart in the second quarter. And they have no answers for the amount of questions the other team gives them. They have no answers for
Much of anything right now.
much of anything. Yeah, no answers for much of anything. It's tough to try to dissect, because you don't know what you're dissecting sometimes. You're looking at guys who probably you think, oh, you should know this or that, and it's like, well, maybe they don't, because they haven't been in the league that long, so
Yeah.
or they're not very good, and so it's very, very tough. What were your thoughts on last week's contest?
Well, man, it's like I don't know what you're supposed to take away from 3 20-point blowouts. Like I don't know the last time we had three. I mean, I think it was 20-point losses in all 3 games. Like the only thing that I can really dissect out of that is bad ball. Like I don't think that the minutia of specifically why we lost each of those games. I mean, I think we lost because we're the people that are seeing the most minutes figure to be the back half of our rotation when everybody's healthy. It's like guys 7, 8, and 9 are starting when they should just barely be seeing the floor,
Yeah, I mean, the Grizzlies are one of the worst offensive teams in the league.
Yeah,
28th out of 30th, or it's 29th out of 30th in offensive rating. And ultimately, I think that's the issue here.
Yeah.
You have a defense that at times can be very very awful. But at times can be very good. At times, I mean, you saw in that second quarter, early on, the Grizzlies were getting stops.
Yeah.
The lead was not stretching endlessly, but they just could not score the basketball. And over time, it doesn't matter how good your defense is, if you can't score the basketball, you're never gonna win these games. You're never gonna have a chance at these games in the NBA. And so I always joke with people. People always say defense win championships, and I say that's bullshit. because if you don't have an offense, it doesn't matter, right? And you've seen that right, the Grizzlies right now. A defense does not win. It might get you in the playoffs, but if you look at the last, however many NBA champions, it's some of the top offenses in the league, and that's that, right? It doesn't not. It might have used to, but it doesn't anymore.
No, I mean, you can get stop after stop after stop after stop and still get your ass pushed around if you can't score. Like, it doesn't matter.
Well, again, like I said, the Grizzlies, you saw last night in the second quarter where they started the game off really awful. I mean, they got back in it. They got back into it pretty quickly. They turned it around with their defense, and they were much better through the second half of the second quarter and the first half of the second quarter. But again, they could not hit shots. They were like, I had to pull the box score, but at one point they were like
so bad.
3 for 27 from 3. I mean, it was just
10 of 37 from 3 last night.
Yeah, that's not great.
Nah, ain't great.
If you're not going to score, if you can't score more than 10, and that's what I think they average right now is like 10 threes made per game. And if you can't score more than that in the NBA, you're just not going to win. You're just not going to win that many games.
We've averaged less than 28% from beyond the arc the last 3 games in a row. Less than 28%. That's very bad.
I mean, average right there right now. They are right now they're averaging 33% on their made threes, which is it's not great, not awful, but also on the season. But they're only averaging 13.3 3-point makes a game. And so, I mean, that's not great at all. I think what's more terrifying is that their field goal percentage inside the paint is like 52% or something like that. And it's like one of the league where I know Brevin and Pete threw that set out in the game last night, and I was like, wow, it's crazy. It's like 52%, and it's like one of the league worst versus the last few years where they've been one of the best in the paint. And I get it. There's a lot of personnel issues with that. There's a lot of personnel issues that those are the guys that would typically get in the paint, Brandon Clark and Steven Adams and obviously John Morant. But I think abandoning that principle at times, you can see it on the floor. They're just jacking up threes when they can't feel like they get stuff going or they can't get into. I mean, you could see it on the court, and it's just like they abandon that principle so many times in the games. It's like I don't know what's happening here.
No, man, and they're last in the league in 3-point percentage, but 4th in the league in attempts. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah,
like, I don't. At some point they're going to have to stop. Like, you can't just keep doing this. I don't think
it doesn't add up. When you're last in the league in a percentage and 4th in the league in attempts, something doesn't add up. They don't have that. They don't have the efficiency in the players to do that, right? They just don't. And I think that's where you've seen a lot of conversation about Taylor Jenkins over the week, and rightly so. I mean, you lose this amount of games, the conversation is obviously going to be turned towards the coaching staff, and some of that's warranted and some of it's not. But I think that is on the coaching staff to say, okay, we don't have the personnel for this right now. The personnel is not here, right? We are severely lacking. We're severely injured,
undermanned,
underpowered. The only real efficient shooter we have is Desmond Bane, and he's the only one out there that can really hit threes at a high efficiency, high rate.
And he's getting doubled every single play, every single possession. He's getting doubled,
right? And so it's on them to go back to the drawing board. Say, okay, no, now what do we do? They've been doing this idea where they keep Desmond or Jaren on the floor at all times, and in theory, I think that was something I would start to kind of float towards, but I think more so you need to maximize their time together. And I think if I were them, that's what something I would try is maximize their time together and see if you can't just limp through those other few minutes when they're not on the floor, right? Or give you something else from somebody else, because David Roddy's been playing well.
Derrick Rose has been playing okay.
Derrick Rose has been playing well. All those things are happening. So maybe in that second unit, you can get some offense from those 3 guys, and not be just horribly, and that way, maybe it's a starting lineup issue where your starting lineup is so much better, right? You get maybe you can get some leads out and maybe afford to set those guys together for a few minutes. I don't know. They've got to try something. Obviously, what they're doing is not working.
Well, I don't have the numbers in front of me either, but that lineup of Gilliard, Biombo, Dez, and Jaron, and then insert whoever is playing the three, those lineups are all pretty good. Like, I'm with you. Just maximize the starters' minutes as much as you can. Just see how much of a lead you can get, and then hope the bench has a good game.
Yeah,
I don't know what else you can do.
Or something I'd like to see is I'd like to see the. I think I'd like to see Derrick Rose. I mean, I do think the Jacob Gillard experiment. I do think the Jacob Gillard experiment is over. I do think that we've seen now that people and you see that a lot. You see some two-way guys play and they play well and people get some time to scout them and understand what's happening. Or they just don't pay attention to him. And I think you've seen a lot of that. He just literally just been not guarded, right? And you say, look, if we're going to get beat by Jacob Gillard, then go the fuck ahead. Like, we don't care, right? Because we know that's not going to happen. And it hasn't happened. He's severely cooled off. And Jacob Gillard, I think, is still a good player. But I think he's severely limited in what he's able to do offensively and defensively just because of his size. Yeah. I mean, he had switched onto some of those guys, and it's just like, man, he's so tiny.
They miss him. They literally miss him because he's so tiny.
It's just it's. I think he is, So I think I would like to see at least Derrick Rose move into the starting lineup and see what would happen.
He's got the right mindset for it too, man. Like, he's been getting. He seems like really invested still in this team, and I think that speaks for a lot.
Yeah, I mean, he's been playing well. I mean, I guess he understands that that there is not a lot of people on this team that can score the basketball, and so he's been aggressive. And I see that he's been aggressive.
Yeah.
He's been playing well, and he's been, I think he's a guy. Obviously, he's been spending enough time in the league that he understands his game, understands what he's good at. And he really tries to get to the basket. And that's what he's going to do. Right. And so, I think that him being understanding of that is good. So, I mean, again, if I were the coaching staff, I would experiment with that. I would throw all my biggest firepower out there. I'd go, Jaron, Bismack, Santi, Dez, and Derrick Rose, and just see if you can't do as much damage as you can from the get go.
Dude, that's a good idea.
And just limp through those other minutes, right? And just see, just maybe get through some other minutes. And I just don't think they're ever going to do that, because I think they want to save people. They don't want to burn people out. They want to save minutes, and again, I think that's one of Taylor Jenkins' downfall, is figuring that you got to play 10 guys every game, and you don't. You just don't. I mean, you play 7 if you want to, right? No. I mean, we see it all the time in the playoffs. And so I think that's one of his biggest downfalls is thinking that you have to play these 10 guys. I'm like, right now, you need wins. Yeah. It doesn't matter what the cost is. You need W's for your own sake, for your staff's sake, for this team. I mean, they looked, they got cussed out by Marcus Smart on the bench last night, and they deserve it. I mean, honestly, they deserve it, because they do look like they don't care. And I know when you get down off of 20 points, or 18. I mean, that's tough to care. I've played sports before. I mean, I played soccer, but when you get down by 4 goals, it's like we're not. I'm aware. I'm a realistic person. I'm aware we're not coming back here. I get that. It's tough. It's tough to care. So I think that game. I think that was like in the third quarter when that little light, and when that video came out, and I'm like, I get it. I get what he's saying, but also get from their point, like, they've been down by 20. It's tough to care
for the third game in a row.
For the third game in a row, losing is a draining thing. It sucks to lose.
Losing 8 times at home. They still haven't won at home, dude.
Mm-hmm. That's
weird.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it's something they obviously have a lot of things to figure out. And some things I don't think John Morant's going to fix. I think they have so many problems right now that John Morant comes back in this lineup, and obviously one of them being health, but I think that defense is so bad at times. I mean, and so incredibly bad at times. And the offense is so awful that I'm not sure just inserting John Morant will fix things. Now, again, he's a superstar, so there's no telling, right? if he goes back to John Morant, we've seen him at times where he scores at will every trip down the court. Then maybe that's different. But I just don't know.
Well, you have to hope that. I mean, because like I said, Dez and Jaren are getting double teamed every single possession. Like whichever one of them, whoever has the ball, they're getting double teamed, and you got to hope that maybe this equates to better play out of them. When Ja comes back. I mean, it's a lot of hoping, but
I mean, the idea is that he is getting into the paint more, and he's the obviously the starter of the offense, and that takes pressure off of the Desmond Bane. It takes pressure off of all the guys around him, so that you can get some open shots, right? And I think that's the ultimate issue now. Is like you said, like you mentioned before, Desmond Bane's getting double and triple teamed, and he's the offensive creator and the only one on the floor.
Yeah.
And there isn't much for him to do because Jaren's also been very bad.
Very bad.
I mean, in terms of your star players, I mean, he's been. In terms of NBA players, been good, but I mean, in terms of what you need out of a star player, when he's the only one on the floor sometimes and he has to carry you, he doesn't do it. And I love Jaren, and I wish I wish he would be more aggressive because I wish he understood that he could dominate people more. Like they cannot hang with him, because
nobody can.
Because he can be that guy, but I think it's so many times he's unwilling to, or he just wants to defer more to the guys that other around him, or just he's just a, he's just, I don't know. Again, he's maybe, I don't know if it's, I don't know if the correct word is unwilling, but he just doesn't do it, so many times. And that's the other part. When you put him on the floor and he's your offensive guy, he's your only guy, then
he doesn't do it. The ball that good, like good enough for that.
But even then, you need him to go to the basket.
Yeah.
You need him to be, that guy that can drive the basket in 3 steps from the perimeter, right? And that little hook shot. He's huge. His arms are gigantic. You need that guy in the post. You need that Jaren, in those times. And you need the Zebo if you don't throw Zebo the ball, he is dog cussing you back down the floor, right?
Yeah.
That's what you need from Jaren. And he doesn't do that. He doesn't demand the ball. And if he's going to be your only offensive guy out there in some of those spurts, you said last night, it won't work. It does not work. Anyway, I hopefully the coaching staff sees that and they make some changes, because obviously what's happening right now is not working. So,
no.
Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back. We're going to talk about some new additions to the team on the other side.
I am highly upset, man.
Oh, man.
ESPN, you dastardly dogs you. Last week had us feeling good. They picked the Grizzlies to be first in the West with about 48.5 wins. And what a difference a few days makes.
What a difference.
You put out your list of the top 100 players in the NBA. Desmond Bane jumps in at 61. Jaren Jackson Jr. comes in at number 31. Jaren's top 25 to me, but if you all right, whatever. I think that's a little slight to Jaren. Desmond Baines is disgusting, in my opinion. Then we get Ja Morant, all-NBA player, 2-time All-Star, one of the most dynamic offensively players in the NBA, Ja Morant. That guy was number 35 on their list, Kenny Stubblefield. The same people that said the Grizzlies will be the first team in the West. They're going to get that done with just some regular dudes.
Tune in to the Anthony Sane Show Wednesdays and Fridays at 12 p.m. weekly on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
Just curious, you kind of talked about the transfers and things like that. How has that changed your mindset from a roster management standpoint? Like, incredible recruiter. All the classes, I think we had 2 back-to-back and 21 and 22 top classes. How does that change with the transfer portal? Do you start focusing more on upperclassmen? Do you kind of get away from the younger freshmen? How does that work?
Yeah, so I still believe in our coaching staff, the way we do things, and developing guys. And that I will never get away from that philosophy. We're still going to recruit a high school class. Now, there's a lot of colleges out there that say, screw this. We're pushing all the chips in on this roster, win right now, and we'll figure it out. Sure. And if it doesn't, right, it implodes and bad things happen. But I think you still have to bring in true freshmen and develop them and see what they can become. And that I'll never waver from that. But the portal certainly changed things.
Tune in to Tigers Untapped with TJ Willis and Trey Lasley every Wednesday at 3 p.m. on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
Welcome back to the Daily Grind, a daily Grizzlies show right here every single day, right on Bluff City Media YouTube page and all of our other areas. This is the time for shameless promotion. If you're not already a Bluff City Media Insider, make sure you go and do so. It's super awesome, super cool. Probably the coolest thing about it is you get access to our Discord where everybody's in there chatting. It's always popping off. Right now, it's a mixture of very angry people and sometimes some people trying to reason. So it's always fun. It's been quite the a Discord chat over the last week. So if you're not at Bluff City Media Insider, make sure you go and do it just for at least the access to the Insider Discord. But you also get 20% off merchandise. You get access to the new merchandise sooner than everybody else. All kinds of perks. So it's $5 a month, super cheap, super easy, and super cool. So make sure you go and do that. The Grizzlies added 2 guys over the week. They got the hardship waiver from the NBA for 2 roster spots. And what that means is that you have a lot of people hurt for a long time.
That's how bad we're doing. Even the league is like, Jesus.
Yeah, they're like, man, we feel bad for you guys. We are so sorry about this shit.
Here's 2 guys.
Here's 2 guys. No, so the hardship waiver is exactly what it sounds like. If you don't know, it allows NBA teams to sign spots, and they are determined. The roster spots they're given. They usually just one at a time, but that means that the Grizzlies have that many people hurt. It is determined by how many people you have hurt in the length of time. Yeah. And so when some of those people start to come back from injury, these spots will no longer be available. And they're only 10-day contracts. So the guys that got signed, I'm blanking on their names now. I just had them up.
Jalen Noel and Shaquille Harrison.
Yep. Jalen Noel and Shaquille Harrison both got signed. They are just on 10-day contracts. It's a little like when, I know it sounds unfamiliar because usually you don't have 10 days right now. 10 days aren't until the spring when you start opening that up and they're allowed to have them. But again, this is just for the hardship waiver that they were granted. And those two got signed, Jalen Noel and Shaquille Harrison. Jalen Noel played last night, was previously with the Timberwolves. Yes.
Yeah.
Played 4 seasons with the Timberwolves. Played a lot of games.
He can ball.
Played a lot of games. Average last year with the Timberwolves, he was 10 points a game. He played 20 minutes a game for them. Played in 65 appearances. So he's a guy that he rebounds the ball well at times, and he's a guy that it's a little like Jake Wheeler. It's a little too much to say about him right now. He played the game last night with the starters. He had like 5 points and 5 boards in 6 minutes or something like that. So played well. I will be
at the very least, he should be able to give you some offense off the bench, right? At the very least.
At the very least, he's better than
Jitty.
Better than Zaire and Jitty, right? I mean, I guess if that's your bar you're clearing, that at the very least, yes, he's better. They're hopefully better than those guys. Shaq Harrison has been a journeyman in the NBA. Started with Phoenix, played Chicago. This is his. He played last year. He played 1, 2, 3. He played for 4 teams, or 2 years ago. He played for 4 different teams.
We signed him this summer, didn't we? Wasn't he?
Didn't we have him on the
roster?
I believe he was in summer league.
Yeah.
But previously last year he was with Portland. He just played a few games, like maybe 5 games. But he is hopefully a guy that can shoot the ball. Career averages. His career averages aren't very good for his 3-point percentage. He's 28% for 3. He's not a great, doesn't shoot a lot of threes. It takes 1 3 a game. So, not promising, but
nope.
We'll see. I think Jalen Noel's the better player here. I don't know if we'll see a lot of things from Shaq Harrison. I do think Jalen Noel is the better player. And he's a guy I think that can help you in terms of just your guard rotation, your wing rotation.
Yes.
And so, like you mentioned, is he better than? I think Z's still going to get minutes because they want to force the minutes to Z.
God,
but can he take the minutes away from? Can he play in place of like you said of Of John Conchar, Jake Larabia, Vince Williams, all those guys. I mean, it's possible. So,
Man, Zaire not showing up till the fourth quarter last night really, really, really pissed me off. Just a little tangent. I was just so upset that he just was a non-factor till the last 7 minutes.
He's been a non-factor. You know, he's just not consistent. He's had that. He had one good game. He had one game. We were so happy about it, and then he went back to playing like shit. So, again, if that's any indication of where we're at on the season, of me and you having a serious discussion about 2 10-day guys in the end of November, beginning of December, if that's where we're at right now, of having a whole segment on this show dedicated to Shaq Harrison and Jalen Noel, man, we are so fucked.
Yep. We are proper fucked.
That's about as easy. I mean, that's about as simple as I can get with that. I mean, it's just true. I mean, the injury bug is tough. I mean, people are mad at Jenkins, and again, like we said in the previous segment, there are a lot of reasons to be mad at Jenkins and think he does not deserve this job. Like, he has not done a good job, even with the parts he has. I think overall, but also understanding that he doesn't have a whole lot of parts to work with, right? That's the ultimate issue, is that you're missing, Steven Adams, Brandon Clark, Luke Kennard, Marcus Smart, and Xavier Tillman, and those 5 guys. Those 5 guys are all like either starters or heavy minutes guys for you, right? So they're like not just rotation, because their starters are playing 25 plus minutes for you, and that is really, really tough.
And not to mention too, you've got Santi that missed like 5 games. You've got Derrick Rose that's missed like 5 games. Like we're talking like half the roster that's missed at least 5 games.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, the news with Luke Kennard having to be, basically reevaluated. I think, you get to maybe when Ja comes back middle of December, you have some of these other guys. All these other guys are coming back probably at the same time. And that's when your real season starts, is this middle of December. Now you're like 10 games behind the 8 ball, but that's when the real season starts. So I will be interested to see. I want to see the team as a whole, right? I want to see the team and what they look like. What they're supposed to look like. I mean, we're not going to have Steven Adams and Brandon Clark, but I would still like to see the team and see how they play for a few weeks with the players they're supposed to have and they're supposed to play. And before I reserve any, I'm always said I'm reserving judgment until that time, and that'll have to continue to wait.
Yeah.
So,
and like, we knew we were going to be without BC and Steve-O. We were planning for that. The rest of this shit, we had no idea. It's like,
yep,
we're doing the best that we can.
Yeah, it is indeed a perfect storm. So let's take another quick break. We'll be right back and get to the Monday mailbag on the other side.
Seth Hennigan just still, he
doesn't look himself.
He just doesn't, in the big moments, he's not making the plays that have to be made. If you look at the raw stats, they're not terrible, but the 2 interceptions.
Yeah.
And he fumbled twice. They didn't lose those fumbles, but 2 fumbles and 2 interceptions. One of them coming at a terrible time on a 4th down late in the game when Memphis really needed to put points on the board. But I just don't think Seth is playing well enough to elevate this team.
Right.
I think he's playing well enough for Memphis to be fine. But as far as for them to do something special and to elevate this team, he's just not playing like that.
Tune into On the Bluff with Christian Fowler and Gabe Kuhn every Tuesday at 12 p.m. on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
Kenny, there are certain guys in the NBA that are enigmatic players. They're going to be appealing to a large fan base. But when you have guys like that, who like Ja Morant, who have off-court issues he's had, Kyrie Irving has had the things he's had, the NBA doesn't particularly like the fact that those guys are larger than life. If I'm the NBA, if I'm ESPN, who of course are working together on all this stuff, I'm going to start telling you who you need to like. And it's going to be a different type of guy to kind of play off of the guys that are going to be there anyway. Let me put these squeaky clean image guys that we want to put in front of you up there as well to kind of counteract some of the stuff we get with the guys that we don't have any control out of. So let me put the Tyrese Halliburtons in front of you. Let me put the Shai Gilgeous-Alexanders in front of you, the Josh Giddys. Let me force these guys in front of you, not particularly on national television games, but let me just kind of create these little sub agendas with these guys to kind of make them the those second tier stars that we're gonna like put out in front as well. Like they're doing this on purpose, man. Like if anybody can't see this, like come on, man. Do not sit there and tell me that you really think that Tyrese Halliburton is a top 20 player in the NBA.
Tune in to The Anthony Sane Show, Wednesdays and Fridays at 12 p.m. weekly on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
Welcome back to the Daily Grind and Daily Memphis Grizzlies show right here every single day with myself and Luke. Last segment of the show, but before we get to it, make sure you guys tune into our post-game show, Grizz 101, after every single Grizzlies game. They're doing the Lord's work, Nate and Daniel. They did not take the week off like we did last week. No. They're doing the Lord's work, holding some serious group therapy sessions after these games.
God.
And dealing with a lot of angry fans because it's an interactive show. They're taking comments, they're putting your comments up and talking with you guys. So you know, I would definitely tune in the next game if you have some stuff you want to vent out. They're a good place to get it done. We're not promoting the show as a quality show about the games anymore because the games are shitty, but it's a quality group therapy space. You know, that's how we're promoting the show. It's a quality group therapy space now for Grizz 101, the post game show right here on Bluff City Media. So that's what it is. So join in. Get your frustrations out. Daniel, Nate will guide you through it. Mm-hmm. They are your guys. So Monday mailbag for this week. Let's go to the mailbag. Let's see. Where are we at on the freak out meter? I just said I'm largely unfazed by this. I mean,
yeah,
I have no data otherwise to say this team's like a shitty team, like for real. So I really don't know. I mean, that's kind of like I said before. I'm not freaking out at all. I think you have a long time. You know, you have 3 more weeks or 2 more weeks maybe now. What is it? 9 games before John comes back. I think if you get a week into this you know, with job back, you get a week in, you still see some of these same. Then you start to question some things. You know, that's how I would phrase it.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like a 1 on the freak out meter, but like a 10 on the super sad meter.
Yeah, I'm sad about it because I want to see good basketball.
Yeah,
but I'm not freaking out about it.
Yeah.
Is this Taylor Jenkins' last season as head coach? I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
As much as I think here's what if the season goes as poorly as if it's going this poorly in February, then yeah, I think he's probably done. But there isn't a coach in the NBA that's going to get fired for winning 3 games with the roster he has. I don't think anybody's going to get that done. Anybody's going to get that treatment. So right now, no, it's not. But
no.
if we're still here in February, then that's a different story.
Yeah, if you could hit your guys back healthy and you're still like winless at home, yeah, maybe buy. But yeah, otherwise, no, I'm with you.
I think this was a follow-up question because it says, if yes, who do you hire? I hire no one right now. There's no one available. If Tyloo got fired, I'd be interested in that.
What are your thoughts on Ivy, the coach from Notre Dame?
I don't love college coaches going straight from the NBA. I don't love college coaches at all. It's just such a different game.
It's a very different game.
I'm not a big fan of those. It takes a very, very skilled coach to be good at the college level and also be. I mean, when's the last good college coach we saw jump from the college NBA and also be good in the NBA? Brad Stevens.
Oh God, was it that?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I don't follow college basketball outside of the Tigers, so I don't know.
Yeah,
but I generally think it's such a different game. I think you don't go dip down to the. I would not. If that's what we're gonna, I'd rather just keep Taylor Jenkins. I just do. You're managing. You're no longer managing kids. You're managing full-grown men. A lot of them are older than you, and it's a very different vibe. You know, doing this to superstars than it is to little kids. So, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. Last question is, what's the ideal rotation when the roster is fully healthy? Is this? Are we taking Steven Adams and Brendan Clark in this too, or we're just saying what would be fully healthy if like?
Let's take them out of this. So let's
take them out of this.
Yeah.
Well, I would say it's probably Bismack Biyombo,
Yeah.
Jaren Jackson, Dez, Marcus Smart, and Ja Morant starting.
Yes.
I think off the bench, first off the bench is Santi and Luke.
Yep.
And X.
Yeah.
If it were me, I'd leave it there, but I don't think I know Taylor Jr. is going to play 10, so I'm going to name two guys. After that, I think you play David Roddy minutes because he's earned them. And Zaire probably gets in there because he has to. That 10 spot, I think, will probably be game by game basis. But I think those are your 9 guys. I think those are your 9 guys that play every night, that play consistently.
Yeah, I agree. I think I would go those 8 and then siphon Roddy, Derrick Rose, or Z based on the matchup.
Yeah, that's true too. I forgot about Derrick Rose for a minute. Yeah, I mean he'll probably get minutes too. I don't know if he would basically be a third point guard at that point, and I just don't know if he gets those minutes or not. So it'd be tough, but so yeah, I mean, Daniel said Jenkins is only going 9 guys. I think he's only been going 9 guys because he didn't have a choice, right? I think if he had his full complement of roster, he'd go 10 guys because he's done that for the whole time
3 years in a row.
Yeah, he's done that for the whole time he's been here. He's never not done it. So I think the 9 guys is just because he doesn't have a choice. I think if those are your 9, if those are your top 8 guys, Santi, Luke, and X off the bench. That's not a bad roster. It's not great, but it's not a bad roster. So I think obviously they win more than 3 games. That's for sure.
Man, props to Santi Aldama, man. He has proven in such a shitty season. He's just proven that he belongs on this team, belongs on this rotation, belongs in the NBA. I like to see it.
Yeah, he's been great. He's been a really, he's only 22. So yeah, he's been very good so far this year. So last thoughts before we get out of here?
No, man, it's going to be nice to sit with these losses for a couple of days.
Yeah, sit and stew. The next game the Grizzlies have is what's the next game?
Dallas. Is it Dallas on Wednesday?
It is Utah Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Dallas, they're at home at Utah, and they are on the road Friday and Saturday back to back, Dallas and Phoenix. So they come back home next week on Monday to Dallas. So maybe they could beat Utah. I mean,
might be their only shot at winning anything for a hot minute.
Yep. And so they got 9 games left before Ja returns. So let's get Ja back and see what happens. But
yeah.
Other than that, let's do it again tomorrow. We'll see you then.
Yes, sir.